I have the pleasure to present to you results of the cross-cutting topic hitting the targets, which was led by Professor Paul Wostel and Dr. Uschi Eid, Dr. Anna Smetanova, and myself. The first product was the GRoW position paper, which was already in 2018 presented at the high-level political forum on SDGs in New York, strengthening the evidence base for the SDG process. And we got some good feedbacks and expression of interest from this from the range of international stakeholders. And this paper identified some key challenges. And on these key challenges, we established two working groups. The first working group is on indicators, data, and models, in which the existing indicators for measuring progress on achieving the SDG 6 do not sufficiently represent the outlined targets, are not conceptually clear or measurable, or lack adequate data. And the second working group was on conflicting targets, on synergies between different SDGs. So I will present you these two consecutively. So this is the first working group with a range of different participants that contributed to this working group. There is a policy brief that is in a draft version. I'm not sure whether it's already. I think it's on the web page already online. This is on the SDG monitoring as an opportunity for enhancing sustainable water management at the global and the national level, and identified 5 main challenges on disaggregation, so that data that is available on a national level is not really helpful for decision-making on a catchment scale, on interlinkages of different SDGs, on lack of environmental data, on the lack of governance systems, and on lack of capacity. This working group used 3 projects here within GRoW to work on different indicators and different approaches these projects put forward to solve these questions. So on the SAVEM project worked on interlinking model and data change to fill existing monitoring gaps at basin level. The Wandel project worked on integrated indicators for progress towards SDG 6 on water and SDG 7 on energy. And the STEER project worked on indicators and frameworks for assessing governance systems to better understand the challenges in achieving linked SDGs. So the working group came up with different recommendations. The first one is make use of innovative approaches to fill existing data gaps. So for example, remote sensing, integrated modeling, stakeholder knowledge, and combine new technology, remote sensing and monitoring approach, for example, crowdsourced monitoring to simplify data acquisition, develop indicators in assessing SDG interlinkages, include assessment of governance and monitoring efforts, and use a sound cross-sectoral monitoring to pave the better way for coordination. And I invite you to download this policy brief and read it in more detail. The second working group was on new approaches towards assessing trade-offs and synergies between SDG 6 and other SDGs. So we had a very lively discussion on different approaches and came up with a new assessment procedure by which decision makers can evaluate the effects of key projects, of large-scale projects, of policy strategies on achieving UN SDG targets, including different trade-offs and synergies. So we wanted to present a holistic approach, looking on all 17 goals and 169 targets. And we wanted to come up with a participatory involvement of stakeholders, so to include local knowledge at the very early stage of project development to minimize trade-offs and size synergies. The goal was also to be quantitative as far as possible, but still handle data gaps where quantitative models are not available and working on different scales. So we came up with this assessment procedure in which you start with a problem definition and then involve already stakeholders in pointing out which goals are relevant for this planning process, come up with a concept of measures, and then select already indicators and proxies in a participatory manner to decide which should be more focused on both quantitatively and qualitatively to assess whether the planned process is really hitting or approaching the goal that it was set out. And then using a stakeholder approach to minimize the conflicts and size synergies, maybe go back and design the measures differently, and by always looking holistically on all relevant targets. In the end, of course, the decision-making is by the decision makers, and it's not the role of the stakeholders to finally decide which measure, which plan is best. So we think that this participation of relevant stakeholders early on minimizes trade-offs and synergies. We presented these results on the Stockholm World Water Week last year, and we were working on a paper to be submitted in the journal Sustainability, maybe also in a special edition that Dr. Wolf pointed out. We are happy that we got a contract by the KfW to further work on these issues, on sector information on water and sanitation. That's a project we also have to finish by end of this year, in which I think some of the issues that we developed within this project can be also faced in a climate adaptation sector information that the KfW is currently developing. So yeah, it was I think very helpful for all the different projects to come together in these working groups. It also helped us to make the next step, not only focus on our projects, but see also what all the other projects we're working on and put the results of each project on the next level. And we are really looking forward to finalize our publication, which we think would be a great step forward for evaluating trade-offs and synergies for SDGs. Thank you very much.